Welcome to the channel. My name is Matthias. Today we're going to talk about the second Hellfire Gala. So this particular story took place in 2022. And personally, when I read this standalone issue, there were a lot of things that really didn't work for me. And the first thing that I wanted to mention, because it sticks out like a sore thumb, in the first Hellfire Gala, it had like a ton of famous people, even though they were D and C listers. It was like every other panel, and in this one, they're few and far in between. There is a tremendous focus on Jonathan Hamm, who I have no idea who he is. He literally gets 1 or 2 pages dedicated to him and his interactions with the White Queen. Then you have this comedian who is very nerd adjacent, that I don't know his name, but I've seen reels with him. Very oddly, the mascot to Iron Maiden, Eddie, is canon because you see him at the gala. I'm not sure if the creator of Game of Thrones is also in one of the panels. So I'm not sure what happened, but you feel like Marvel sort of cheaped out there. So outside of that, we do get all the big movers and shakers of the Marvel Universe arriving at the gala. That's how the story starts off. And one of the people that was invited to this event was Mary Jane Watson, who unsuspectingly actually has been kidnapped and replaced by Moira X. So the really weird thing is that Moira X, who is like public enemy number 1 at this moment on Krakoa, she arrives on the island and no one realizes that it's her, even though there are a ton of telepaths there. She's an android and she went through a Krakoan gate, and this did not trip any alarms on Krakoa. You know, these type of inconsistencies really kill me when I'm reading these stories. So the first big thing that happens in this story after the White Queen dances with Jonathan Hamm, again, I have no idea who this guy is. Clea, who at this moment is the Sorceress Supreme, she goes to the White Queen directly and asks her over the fact, or if it's possible, if Doctor Strange can be resurrected. And she tells Emma, look, I am a very accomplished sorceress, but this is what we have to deal with. And she shows Emma all the threats that she's barely holding back, that at any moment Earth can be destroyed by, be it Shuma-Gorath, Dormammu, that they really need the return of Doctor Strange, but Emma tells her, look, we're not going to do it. The resurrection process is only for mutants, and that aside, we do not have any backups of Doctor Strange. So it would not be possible in the first place. And then we get this terrible line by Emma where she tells her, look, you're a woman, you can do it on your own, you don't need a man. You'll be just fine. Then after this, the story cuts to Spider-Man. He has been invited to the event and he immediately sees Mary Jane there. So let's get to the part of the story that really did not work for me. So the 5, which would be the mutants in charge of the resurrection protocols, they were told that they couldn't go to this event because having them all together would be too much of a liability, but they end up showing up anyways. One of the 5 is Proteus. So I always ask during the Krakoan area, what's the situation between Proteus and Moira? So what happens is Moira actually goes up to Proteus, obviously posing as Mary Jane. She reveals her true identity and Proteus totally freaks out over the situation. He thought she was dead all this time, and then we get this terrible interaction where Moira tells Proteus, look, I only had you because I just needed your genetic material. That's it. You're basically just a scientific experiment. And this obviously is pretty devastating for Proteus. The thing is that obviously he's very pissed off. Spider-Man actually jumps in to try to intervene because obviously he thinks that Proteus wants to kill Mary Jane. And just in case, for those who don't know, Proteus is insanely powerful. All hell should have broken loose. The guy can warp reality. I'm not sure if there's any stories during the Krakoan era where they explain that his powers have been nerfed or something like that, but this should have been a major incident. But the thing is that Moira is able to escape. Proteus comes off as a total chump in this story. A character that literally made Wolverine cry back in the day. Also in this story, we're going to get the setup to Fei Long not only being one of the biggest enemies of the X-Men during this time, he's going to make things pretty miserable for Tony Stark too. This will actually lead to Tony Stark aligning himself with Krakoa and even starting a relationship with Emma Frost. Then another big moment that we get is that we have Cyclops and Emma dancing together. And through their telepathic connection, Emma discovers that Cyclops has come across a new Sinister, which would be Dr. Stasis. So they don't know what's the deal with him and the Sinister on Krakoa. And Cyclops is actually informed for the first time about the whole situation with Moira X during the Inferno crossover. And this led to Xavier and Magneto being on the outs with Krakoa. So outside of that, there's not too many other interesting things going down in this story. Oh, I almost forgot, we did get a new X-Men lineup in this story. So the team would be Jean Grey, Cyclops, Synch, Havoc, Forge, Magic, Firestar, and Iceman. Now, I do have to say, it's a pretty cool lineup, but it's a shame that we didn't get to see too much of the previous lineup that we got from the previous Hellfire Gala. So, we're going to leave this video here. I hope you guys liked it. See you guys next time. Bye.